to the entertaining Talkin' Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. And in this video, I'm going to talk about a very popular figure with the New York Giants right now, not for the right reasons. And that, of course, is Pat Shurmur, and an article that came out today about the head coaching position for the New York Giants and why Pat Shurmur was probably ultimately hired for the position. And this really shouldn't be news to any of us. The New York Giants are an old-school organization. They want a general manager. They want a coach. They don't want the coach to have any say in what the general manager does. They want the general manager to have full say in decisions for the team, which is fine. I don't even necessarily disagree with that. But what was interesting to me about this article wasn't so much why the Giants chose him over Shwartz, but as to why, if we fire this guy, I think if Gettleman remains on as the general manager, it's going to be very hard to find a top-tier head coach. Because when you look around the league, you look at a Gruden. Gruden wanted full say. And if you think Jim Harbaugh is going to come here without having full say or at least partial say in the personnel decisions, you're out of your mind. A big reason why Harbaugh was replaced to begin with in San Francisco is because he didn't get along with the front office. Maybe because he didn't like some of their draft picks. Who knows? But regardless, an established head coach in this league, a guy who's had success like a Harbaugh or even a top-tier college coach, is going to want to come in here and have say as to who you're drafting, as to who you're adding in free agency. And it's a big reason, apparently, why Shurmur got this job. He was willing just to be the coach. Now, you could call it a puppet, call it what you will, or you could just call it old school. But Dave Gettleman wants full say. And a lot of us like Dave Gettleman. I like some of the things Dave Gettleman does. He's brash. He does what he wants to do. And I applaud the Giants for allowing him to do what he wants to do, because a lot of owners wouldn't allow that to happen. Regardless of whether or not you like the decision or not, that to me is a sign of a good organization. But do you think a lot of head coaches are going to want to come in here with a general manager like that, not having any say as to what the general manager does? I mean, you look at some of the things this guy has done, whether you agree with it or not, he traded away arguably their best player in Odell Beckham. He drafted a running back over a quarterback, something a lot of head coaches would not have agreed with. He's done some very brash things. Now, some may argue it was right, some may argue it was wrong. Doesn't matter. You're looking at attracting potential head coaches, a guy like a Lincoln Riley, a guy like a Jim Harbaugh. And it's going to be hard to bring those guys in if Dave Gettleman remains on as the GM. And I expect him to, which is why I expect Pat Shurmur to remain on as well, at least for one more season. But let's get into the article. Let's get into the quotes as to why Jim Shwartz ultimately was not chosen as the New York Giants head coach. Because we all remember when they hired Shurmur, all the reports came out that he was not their first choice, not their second choice, probably not their third choice. And this is probably ultimately the reason why the Giants ended up with Shurmur over somebody else. Let's jump right into it. There's Shurmur, and here is the first quote. Ultimately, though, there was at least one sticking point for any potential Giants-Schwartz marriage: control. Per the Philadelphia Inquirer, Schwartz told the Giants that he required personnel authority if he was going to be their coach. And then here's another quote that basically says the same thing in the same article. But Schwartz has been a harder sell. He met with the New York Giants 2 off-seasons ago, but during his interview stressed that he would need to also have personnel authority. 2 sources familiar with the contents of the meeting said. And going into that offseason, both of them were in very similar situations. One of them was the offensive coordinator for the Vikings. Case Keenum had a career year, and Shurmur got the head coaching job because of that. They went all the way to the NFC title game. Schwartz was the defensive coordinator for the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles that year. And he, of course, got credit with that and was a hot coaching prospect because of it. Both coaches had coached before as head coaches. Schwartz for the Lions and Shurmur for the Browns. You know, both those organizations don't have the best history and both struggled. But my guess is Schwartz wanted authority because he didn't have it in Detroit and probably felt that was a big reason as to why he failed. And that goes back to the point. It is going to be very hard to bring in a guy like a Schwartz, like a guy that commands some respect if he's not going to have any say in the personnel decisions, especially when you have a general manager like a Dave Gettleman who does what he wants when he wants to do it, which is why I think it's a package deal, especially for at least one more year. I don't see them replacing Shurmur because I don't see any guy that is going to really fix this thing overnight coming in here if Gettleman remains on as the GM. So if Gettleman's still the GM, expect Shurmur to still be the head coach going into the 2020 season. I thought it was a very interesting article that pointed to a lot of the reasons why Shurmur remains on as the head coach and probably will remain on as the Giants head coach going into next season. Next offseason is going to be make or break, not just for Shurmur, but for Gettleman as well. With the cap space he has in place, with another high draft pick, the Giants fans and the Giants organization will have to see significant improvement in the third year of this regime. And Daniel Jones' second year as the starting quarterback. Of course, we remember Eli Manning, his second year, I think the team won 11-5 and made the playoffs. I'm not even saying playoffs. We're going to have to be much more competitive next year. We need to go at least 8-8, I think, for these two guys to keep their jobs. That's my personal opinion. I think the Giants go with a fresh start if they continue to struggle next season. Because like I said, if they keep Gettleman, it's going to be hard to bring in a coach that fans would really get behind. You're going to have another puppet, right? You want a head coach that you think could really turn this organization around. And to do that, I think he's going to need some personnel say. I'm not saying full control, but some say as to who the Giants bring in. But that's just my thought on it. I thought it was a really interesting article. As always, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.